Alright, bana, leo kwenye studio za Ayo TV tunaye mtu kutokea nchini Marekani ambapo amekuja tu kwa ajili ya kutazama jinsi Tanzania ilivyo, kutokana na sisi tumebarikiwa kuwa na vitu vingi, especially Mountain Kilimanjaro, Serengeti na vitu kama hivyo. Yeye anafahamika kwa jina la Jermaine Gibbs, ambapo intention yake kubwa ni kwa ajili ya kuwaleta maphotographers kutokea nchini Marekani kwa ajili ya kuja kuexplore Tanzania jinsi ilivyo. Tutapiga na story 1 2 3 kujua ni vitu gani vingine hasa anavihitaji kutokea hapa nchini Tanzania. Jermaine.
Yes.
Welcome to Tanzania.
Thank you. So I learned yesterday that in the States we pronounce it Tanzania, but here it's called Tanzania.
Yes, Tanzania. Because I don't know why people say Tanzania.
No, in the States we say Tanzania. We say like Tanzania. We don't say Tanzania. So all the time I was saying it wrong until I learned yesterday.
Okay, that's good. So it's your first time here?
Yes, first time here.
So how do you find it?
It's very hot.
Okay.
So I'm coming from winter where I'm coming from, so it's a big difference, but it's amazing. The people are extremely nice. It's been good so far. I'm looking forward to some local food next.
Okay, so what are the words that you've captured so far? Like mambo, ujambo.
Mambo, yes. What's the other word? Ashanti.
Asante. That's thank you.
Yes. What's the other word for home first?
Karibu.
Karibu, yes. So I'm learning a little bit.
You get there, so don't worry.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's keep talking about the potential things that you have come here to do. Like, what are the basic things that you're here for?
So one of the big things I'm here for is I want to bridge the gap between the American photographers and the photographers here in Tanzania. So one of the things I'm doing is in November I'll be bringing 14 photographers from the U.S. here to explore Tanzania, but not from a commercialized tourism type of standpoint, but more of to really dive deep into history and the culture and learn all the different things that we typically don't see in the States because we only know what we see on TV, and they think that all animals just running around the street, that's the entire Africa. So they have no concept of really what it is. So I want to change that perception and let them know there's the very high end, there's the beautiful, then you have Zanzibar, then you have the culture where the Maasai tribe and all that stuff. So I want to give them the opportunity to see it for themselves and explore it hands-on.
Yeah. So like, did you dig in and discover so many things in Tanzania?
Yes, well, this is only day 2 for me. So I've only been to Dar es Salaam, but I'm leaving tomorrow to go to Zanzibar for about 3 days. And then I'll be exploring Stone Town while I'm there and some other things. And then I'm heading over to Arusha to do some studying on the Maasai tribe and, understand more of their culture. So I did some learning last year when I was in Nairobi about the Maasai tribe, and I was just so intrigued that I was like, I want to know more.
But when you're in the US, but you had to read more about Tanzania so that you cannot become like a visitor. It's your first time being here.
Yes.
Okay, so and what are the things that you have learned?
Tanzanite is one of the only places you can get Tanzanite is from Arusha, I believe. So we don't really see it in the States, and if we do, it's very, very expensive and it's very rare. Also, I learned about the Serengeti, and what else did I ask? So I really love Stone Town because for me it reminds me of Cuba. It's that old historic, rich architect buildings, and then I'm looking forward to a beautiful beach.
I get it. So like, people, when they talk about photography, people just take it so easy. They don't get to understand what is photography. For those people who have no idea, like when you talk about photography, knowing the culture and maybe the environment and something like that, so you have to capture moments that they give you memories. Like, what do you tell them? Like, what is really about photography?
So I've really tried to do more storytelling. Because everybody will look at a picture and get a different perception of what you're trying to come across. But when you actually give them a story, so what I do is I take multiple stills. It's almost like a film, and then just break it up so that people can see like how it started versus how it ended. Like this morning, I ran across a lady who was preparing breakfast and was selling it. So I stood there and watched the entire process of how she started with just flour and then she put the oil, and then she put the butter, and then how it was a finish. I think it's the local pancake when she finished, and then how people was coming and purchasing. So I wanted to document that entire thing, so when people see it, it's just not like, oh, it's just a lady making something, but actually to understand the story behind it. So I actually get the person's name, what village it is, and kind of a little bit more detail, so people can really understand that it's just not a picture I'm taking. It's about, to me, every picture is a part of history, and I'm documenting history and sharing it with the world.
Okay, and how do you find it? Like, is it so difficult when you work in the environment like in Africa compared to US? How does it work?
So I think the biggest difference is the language barrier.
Oh.
I think that's the number one thing. But for me, I always tell photographers that's in the States that never been here, Africa is heaven for photography, because you don't have to look for images. Literally, if you turn your head in any direction, there's a moment to capture right there, where sometimes in the state it's not that easy, or some people just don't want to take the pictures. It's just it's a huge difference. So for me, from the US and photographing there and then coming here, actually, if I could just stay here and photograph, I probably would.
You spoke about bringing 14 photographers here, and do you manage them?
So this group is, most of them. So I teach photography back in the States. So most of the people that's coming with me are actually people that are in my class or have took some classes with me, who want to know more and to be able to experience what they've seen on my social media. It's like, man, this is an opportunity of a lifetime. Not only to come to the motherland, but to come and really dive deep and to be able to get into places that you typically wouldn't go in if you was just to come on a tourist trip.
Okay. So what are the moments that you ever captured and you're just like, wow, these are the moments to remember?
Oh man, I think I tell people all the time that until you experience church in Africa, you haven't experienced church. It's just like a whole different faith. It's amazing how people have less here. They can live off of less. They don't have cell phones. They're recording all that stuff, but they are the happiest people versus people in the States that can have everything compared to people here, and they still ungrateful, they still complaining. So I really love being here and to be able to capture the stories of the people, just the everyday people in the street, or the woman who has a small store and how she go get the local produce, and then the whole process of from the market, from home to the marketplace, and then coming back home and have to deal with the children, help with the homework, and just that whole scenario is like really appealing to me.
Okay. You're a photographer, teacher. You teach how people to capture moments.
Yes.
But the people that who love photography, they think maybe you need to have a lot of money to own a camera or something, while they can use their phone and capture something. What do you tell them?
So I always tell people, don't get caught up in the camera, because you can have a $10,000 camera, but if you don't know how to capture the moment and you don't understand lighting, the framing, depth of field, and all of the science that come with photography, having a $10,000 camera will not make you a professional. You'll just be somebody with an expensive camera, where you really need to focus more on learning the science, learning lighting, learning how to tell a story, and not taking a picture and people looking at it and not understanding what you was trying to portray. So that's the key. That's what I teach more of than go buy a $10,000 camera and you still have no clue how to use it.
Okay. Do you have any potentials to bring or maybe to open a school here in Tanzania to teach photography?
Oh, that would be amazing. And I'm working with some great photographers, and we did a meetup yesterday, and we had about 10 or 15 photographers.
Yeah, I saw that on your Instagram page.
So it's a lot of opportunity. So I definitely would be, and I have some good contacts here. So it's definitely opportunity, and we can bridge that gap with having some photographers here, and then maybe we can do exchange where they can come to the U.S. and experience the U.S. I can bring some here, let them stay, and they can literally see the difference, and then bring them back together and let them kind of okay, this is what we can do here, this is what we can do here in the States, this is what we can do here in Tanzania, and see how it can be one big project that we can literally bring here, open up a studio where we can cover all different types of photography, the basic teaching, studio lighting, cover weddings, because I'm sure there's a lot of opportunity here for photographers. It's just I learned yesterday that a lot of them didn't really understand the business part of it. And usually that's what it is, because most photographers, you're an artist, so artists are not really good with selling stuff. They get lost in numbers. So it's like bridging that gap with teaching them how to understand the concept of marketing, branding, and how you tie all that in with your skills and customer service, and understand how to read people. So we went over all of that yesterday. So I would be interested in teaching more here.
Okay. And how did you find, like, did you find it was like a hard part to teach them, or there were some things like missing and they had to like catch up and come up?
The good thing is it wasn't really a language barrier, because English was very good. And I think because it was more hands-on versus being in a classroom setting, and I feel that people learn better when they actually hands-on, and then when you can do something and then you have them do it right behind you, so they can really get the feel of what it feels like to really do it, versus just being in the classroom on a chalkboard and saying, okay, I need you to do this, I need you to do that. But I think by being a hands-on class, they've received it very well.
Okay. So like, have you ever captured a moment and you had a picture in it and you had to sell it to somebody? Has it ever happened to you like that? Like,
yeah, so actually right now back in Washington D.C., there's a new African American museum, which is it's the Smithsonian, which is like the highest museum in the world, and actually they have 19 of my images in there. So that was when I started this some years ago. I remember 2 years ago saying that this is one of my goals, is to actually have work in there, and to be able to have that in there is like life changing. And yeah, so I do sell some of my new website literally just focusing on selling my images, and then I have a few agencies in DC who I lease my artwork to, because every office you go into, every hospital, it's always pictures on the wall. So my goal now is to get my work on these walls, whether the person want to buy it or lease it. So yeah.
And like, what is the highest price and the lowest one?
Oh, so the lowest, because sometimes I do little pop-up shops and it's just a 8x10 picture in a matte frame. I may sell that for $25. But then so I was in Ghana about 3 years ago, and I captured a woman that was 121 years old, and I only printed 3 of these photos, and I sold them for about $3,000 each.
That's a lot.
Yes.
So that's the highest price.
That's still on a low end, because some of this stuff that I'll probably get from here, it depends on the market that you're going into, because I can be going into the market where people really understand the value of what they're purchasing, and a picture like that on a wall of maybe like a 24 by 36 could sell for $10,000 or $15,000 easy.
Hey. So like, photography is business. You can earn money and become richer by that.
Yes, I do this full time, between teaching, running my classes, and photographing. I do about 25 weddings a year. I do a lot of portraits. I have a studio, and then I generate money by renting my studio out. So this is all I do for a living, full time. So you can definitely be successful as long as you understand branding, marketing, and how to present yourself.
Okay, so like, on your side, what is photography to you?
For me, photography is documenting history. Like, every picture I take, whether it be on a cell phone or on a camera, it's about documenting history.
Okay, so like, what else do you want to tell the people that think like photography is just something that they don't have to take it that seriously?
No, it's very serious. And then I think a lot of people don't understand like the time and effort that goes into it, because you take the picture, then you got to go back to the pre-production, then you got to make sure that it's edited right, and then you got to deliver to the client. So that coming to do a 1 hour photo shoot may turn into 4 hours. So a lot of people from the client perspective don't understand that. They think you just show up, take a picture, you got a good camera, and it's going to be amazing, but they don't know the time that goes into it, like even the preparation, charging up the batteries, making sure you got space on your memory card. So all that stuff come into play. So once you start helping people understand that, they can actually value you and understand that this is a true talent to be able to be a good photographer.
What are the hardships that you get like a photographer?
Oh, I think a lot of no's. Like a lot of opportunities come about, and we like, oh, I want to do that, and then you submit an email, and then you like, oh yeah, I'm waiting on this opportunity, and then they be like, oh no, right now we already decided the person we're going to use. So I think that's one of the biggest things is, as an artist, is the rejection part of it. And that's something that's going to go on through entire your career, whether you National Geographic photographer, Time Magazine photographer, you still going to get no's. You won't get a yes to everything. So I think that's one of the hardest things for me is like, man, I really wanted the opportunity. But then I look at it, well, you know what? There's going to be other opportunities, or maybe it just wasn't time for that particular opportunity. And like this, you know, I tell people to create your own opportunities. And that's how I wound up being here. I kept saying, man, I want to come to Tanzania. And I just started following photographers in Tanzania. And in 3 months, I made this happen. And I said, man, I really want to give this opportunity to other photographers. And I just started doing my research. And I put it out in 2 days. And within 2 days, I already had 10 photographers signed up.
Congratulations for that. Okay, so I thought your hardest part in photography, I thought you would say like maybe taking a picture of a lion would be the hardest part.
Well,
have you ever done that?
I have. So I did the Masai Mara last year when I was in Nairobi.
Okay.
So yeah, and I think that is one of the hardest things because animals are difficult.
Yeah.
Because it's like waiting for that moment and that perfect picture. So sometimes you can be out there for 7-8 hours just to get one shot.
Like that's a long time being there for 7 hours.
Long time.
Yeah. So like, how was it? Like, was it? Were you shaking?
So I think it was more of it was hot, and then other animals around you, so you have to be cautious of what's going on, and it's definitely a lot. But I'm not really big on that type of photography. That's not my specialty, but hats off to those people who enjoy doing that. But yeah, I've tried it. That and sports are not my thing because sports is just, you got to be always finger on the shutter and you can't let off because you'll miss that moment. Thank you for the opportunity to be here. I'll be here for the next 2 weeks, and we're gonna be doing some meetups. You can go on my Instagram page, which is J_UNIQUEEYE, and I definitely would like to do another meetup with other photographers who didn't make it yesterday for opportunity to learn some stuff, do some hands-on, and just do some street shooting and have some fun. Yeah, that's it.